721 Genmei, 43rd Empress of Japan 707-15, fourth woman to rule Japan, and first emperor of the Nara period, dies at 61. In 1141 Yue Fei, Chinese general, executed. English Archbishop of Canterbury 1162-70, assassinated by 4 knights of King Henry Roman II at 50-1. In 1202 Igor Svyatoslavich, Ukrainian Prince of Novgorod-Seversk 1180-98, and Prince of Chernigov 1198-1202, dies at 51. In 1558 Hermann Finck, German organist and composer, dies at 31. In 1563 Sebastian Castellio, French theologian b. 1515. In 1606 Stephen Bocskai, Prince of Transylvania and Hungary 1605-6, dies at 49. In 1619 Antoine Arnauld, French lawyer Philippica, dies. In 1630 Johannes Stalpaert van der Wiele, Dutch lawyer, pastor and lyricist, dies at 51. In 1634 John Albert Vasa, Polish bishop, dies at 22. In 1661 Antoine Gérard de Saint-Amant, French poet b. 1594. In 1689 Olfert Dapper, Amsterdam historian geographer, buried. In 1689 Thomas Sydenham, English physician and author of Observations Medicae, dies at 65. In 1731 Brook Taylor, English mathematician, discoverer of Taylor's theorem, dies at 46. In 1737 Joseph Saurin, French mathematician b. 1659. In 1785 Johan Herman Wessel, Norwegian poet b. 1742. In 1785 Johan Heinrich Schroll, composer, dies at 69. In 1815 Sarah Bartman's Archie Bartman, African Khoikhoi woman exhibited in Europe as the Hottentot Venus, dies in Paris at about 26-1. In 1821 Jean-Baptiste Dumonceau, Dutch general, dies at 61. In 1822 Albert Christoph dies, German painter, engraver and biographer, dies at 67. In 1825 Giuseppe Maria Gioacchino Cambini, composer, dies. In 1825 Jacques-Louis David, French neoclassical painter, death of Marat, dies at 77. In 1835 Charles Joseph Tolbeck, French violinist and composer, dies at 29. In 1836 Johann Baptist Schenk, Austrian composer, dies at 83. In 1847 William Crouch, British child prodigy organist, composer Palestine Oratorio, and educator Royal Academy, dies at 72. In 1871 Ferdinand Marcucci, Italian harpist and composer, dies at 71. In 1877 Willem Sasson, Dutch Attorney General on Curaçao affairs, dies. In 1890 Bigfoot, Sioux Indian chief, dies at Wounded Knee. In 1891 Leopold Kronecker, German mathematician tensor of Kronecker, dies at 68. In 1894 Christina Rossetti, English poet Winter Rain, passing away, dies at 64. In 1897 William James Linton, American wood engraver and political reformer, b. 1812. In 1898 Georg Goldman, German cellist and composer, dies at 74. In 1905 Martin Wiberg, Swedish computer pioneer, dies at 79. In 1910 Reginald R.F. Doherty, British tennis player Wimbledon 1897-1900, dies of neurasthenia at 38. In 1913 Anderson Abbott, Canadian physician and writer, first Canadian-born black doctor, dies at 76-1. In 1915 C. B. Hawley, American organist and composer, dies at 57. In 1915 Tom Shevlin, American College Football Hall of Fame and Yale Consensus All-American 1902-04-05, National Seaship 1902-05, dies of pneumonia at 32. In 1919 William Osler, Canadian physician and author, circulatory system, dies at 70. In 1924 Karl Spitteler, Swiss writer, Nobel Prize laureate b. 1845. In 1925, Felix E. Walton, Swiss painter-writer Chase Suzanne, dies at 60. Bohemian Austrian poet and novelist Arner, The City, Duino Elegies, dies at 51. In 1929, Wilhelm Maybach, German industrialist and engine designer, the first Mercedes, dies at 83. In 1933, Georg Duker, Premier of Romania, murdered. In 1937, Don Marquis, American author b. 1878. In 1942, Frank Dorson Adams, Canadian geologist, dies at 83. In 1943, William Henry Singer, American painter and collector, Singer Museum, Laren, dies at 75. In 1947, Joseph Cuvelier, Belgian historian and general archivist, dies at 78. In 1952, Beryl Rubinstein, American pianist and composer, dies at 54. American pianist, bandleader, composer, and arranger Benny Goodman Orchestra, dies at 55. In 1953, Violet Macmillan, American Broadway theatre actress b. 1887. In 1956, Martin Alberts, German theologist, Jesus Christ's Church and resistance fighter against the Nazi regime, dies at 73. In 1957, Tom Richmond, cricketer not leg spinner, took 2-86 in Eng Test, dies at 67. In 1958, Doris Humphrey, American dancer and choreographer, Dances of Women, dies at 63. In 1959, Robbie Milford, English composer, commits suicide at 56. In 1960, Eden Philpotts, English novelist, poet and playwright, read Madame Ings, dies at 98. In 1960, Philippe Haniton, Canadian physician, diplomat and writer, Trent Arpents, dies at 65. In 1962, Hans Risbord, Austrian conductor, Southwest German Radio Orchestra, 1948-62, dies at 67. In 1964, Bernard von Brentano, German writer, Big Cats, dies at 63. In 1964, Miroslav Krej, Czech composer, dies at 73. In 1965, Keisaku Yamada, Japanese composer, Nagorter Symphony and conductor, dies of a heart attack at 79. In 1967, Paul Whiteman, the King of Jazz, American orchestra leader, Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue, Fabulous Dorses, dies at 77. In 1968, Orsten Ferrer, English theologian and philosopher b. 1904. In 1970, John de Mol Essar, Dutch accordionist and orchestra leader, dies at 58. In 1970, Marie Menken, American experimental filmmaker and socialite, dies at 61. In 1970, William King Gregory, American zoologist and paleontologist, mammalian teeth, evolutionary theory, dies at 94. In 1971, John Marshall Harlan, Roman II, American lawyer, jurist and 91st Supreme Court Justice, 1955-71, dies of spinal cancer at 72. In 1971, Stuart Holmes, American actor, Life's Shop Window, prisoner of Zender, dies of stomach ailment at 87. In 1972, Fritz Behrendt, composer, dies at 83. In 1972, Hayes Alvis, American jazz bassist and tuba player, Jelly Roll Morton, Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, dies at 65. In 1975, Yule Gibbons, American outdoorsman and proponent of natural diets b. 1911. In 1976, Ivo van Dam, Belgian 800 and 1500 m sprinter, Olympic